Tippy time my damies, Tough Cat here and welcome back to the channel. This is the second vid in my dungeon series and today we're focusing on our pretty princess warlocks. We're looking at what exotics, weapons, fragments and aspects that will make our farming easier, faster and safer inside our dungeons. If you're looking for a particular encounter, they'll all be segmented in the timeline down below, but we start at the start with the first encounter in the Shattered Throne. I've gone for AoE as we don't have a good one bang ability like the Peregrines. I'm on Prismatic, running that Bleak Watcher turret with Devour giving us more uptime. I'm running those Trip Arcane Needles, they pair nicely with my Spirit of Necrotic on my Bangle, and we pair it with the Spirit of Synthos to increase our glaive's damage while surrounded. In the second encounter, despite the Zoga having a small health bar, he's still quite potent with that purple pink eye blast and heaving those black sacks at us. I pop my little solo buddy, chuck out that Bleak Watcher. I'm still rocking that Necrotic Syntho class item, but I'm now using the Winter's Bite exotic heavy glaive, so we got both stasis and solar damage triggering at the same time, with Facet of Ruin buffing both of these damage effects. I keep the same strategy going into the boss encounter. We chuck down a turret, pull up a Helion, and then we're going to pop the pink and poke these three guys in the stink. Not only does this boost our kinetic damage whilst Transcendence, it's also going to boost the amount of damage resist we get from Faceted Protection, going from a 15% damage resist while surrounded to a 32% damage resist. This allows us to wail on those knights. Between the Shatters, Ignitions and Necronics, all that AoE damage will take care of the Scions as you delete the knights. We pick up those orbs, activate our super, and then just ting 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 till the boss is total. I'm running largely the same kit on the first encounter of the pit, as we just got a series of low health yellow bars that we need to destroy, of which our glaive is more than capable of doing so. I do suggest running the Xenophage though in that heavy slot, as it makes peeking into those rooms to kill those solar shielded wizards and the ogres easier than sexing up a call girl. In the second encounter, we'll need to destroy mini bosses, dunk those orbs and cap plates, so we need a bit of a jack of all trades kit. I've got a standard getaway artist lock here with Bleak Watcher to slow down the gameplay, and Devour is going to give us more uptime with them. Equip the Storm Grenade, that way things are getaways. When we charge up that Bleak Watcher, at the same time we're going to get a little Arc Buddy. Needles are GOAT, Nova can wipe up all those top knights. We don't want a roaming super as we still need to operate mechanics. I really enjoy the Kavosta for this encounter as we can hit multiple targets when trying to cap that plate, allowing us to kill multiple targets that are cowering behind the rocks. Find a fusion shoddy or glaive that you like for those quick takedowns on those yellow bar knights, and I like a low cost bipod rocket for clearing out those top knights up the top whilst they try and boom you on the plate. Against the pit boss, I don't really like to kill all the adds whilst going into the damage phase, as I want them to be able to feed me an armor charge. I'm rocking the Chaos Reach, Geomag, Limit Break trio, and I'm using the Onyx Sentry to keep targets blind. This makes my damage phase a lot safer, and as it kills, it's going to feed Onyx Traces back to me, thanks to the Electrostatic Mind aspect. On my kicks, I'm running one Elemental Charge mod. I like this as those traces are definitely a more easy way to collect compared to collecting orbs manually. I run 3 Dilation mods to guarantee that I'll have enough Arc Weapon Surge throughout the entirety of the damage phase. With our Surge easily collected, we can just sit back and rail them in the face with that Queensbreaker particle combo. I'm running the same Geomag kit against our first encounter in Prophecy. I would suggest popping it up in the air, like directly above his head, as you don't want that shield to just eat up all your damage. This uber buff super will do about 75% of his health bar, a lot of which is because we got that bump from the tractor beforehand, and then we just finish him off. We just combo the tractor and my Szechuan Source Confusion Rifle to shoot at his tootsies that his shield is left exposed. In the cube room, we have to eat damage whilst we clear out the adds, all whilst trying to stand in the correct light in order to make the correct motes. I'm rocking that Devour turret on Prismatic, but I've opted to run the Stag, so whilst we plant a Rift, on top of getting the healing from it, we're also getting a 25% damage resist. I love the needles so we can melee kill while standing in the correct light. If there are any enemies hiding around the corner, a long range AoE weapon like the Amnesis works really well this season, as realistically most of our dungeons are at a 1965 power level, so it'll tear out minions. The hardest thing in this encounter will be trying to keep Amplified active for when we pop our Chaos Reach. We want this in order to get that 30% bonus from Limit Break. Killing an arc debuff target at the top before you get the floor suck will still give you a couple of seconds left over when you exit that tunnel, so the moment you see that boss, just pop your super. If you don't have it when you come down, there are ads along the path that you should be able to activate Amplified on. I'd probably just wait till then to pop your super, then we're going to let the Particle Queensbreaker combo do the rest of the work. It's an easy solo 2 phase and an easy fire team 1 phase. I would recommend running a Vulture weapon like the Indebted Kindness up top. It's great at keeping your armor charge stacked up whilst committing genocide on those Scions. Against this homicidal cabal, both my Hunter and Titan had to do solo 4 phases, but the Warlock with that Chaos Reach easily cooked this guy. If I did get a little bit more aggressive in the hallways, chipping those monkeys down with my glaive, I maybe could have squeaked in a 2 phase, but the 3 was easy. He's pretty easy to attack whilst on your Warlock, as that Ionic Sentry keeps you from getting axed in the back, making it easier to attack him with your Szechuan sauce and tractor cannon combo. During this second encounter, if running solo or duo, you're going to want some movement tech. I'm running Mindspun Implication. I pair that with the grapple melee. This allows me to move great distances whilst creating a lot of AoE damage thanks to the threadlings it creates. I run the Verity's Brow so I can double the damage of those threadlings, and I use a Navigator. It can make those Gordian knots, give me 30 seconds worth of these grapples. A special ammo sidearm is quite good in this encounter as it can pierce those Cabal shields, and I got that slam with Eager's Edge to help buy me vital seconds before the bell rings. On Keitel we got that Geo Chaos Reach. It does half the job for you, and your Queensbreaker Particle will finish them off. Me and my man Faker here, 2-man 1 phased it fairly easily. The Grasp Ogre can be fairly aggressive, so I've opted for a Well and Stagger kit. We Finger Snap with Ember of Torches to make us radiant. That way when we pop the Well, Limit Break will increase our weapon damage by 30% on top of the radiant buff we already get from the Well. We then stack on the Alchemy chest piece, giving us that tier 4 Solar Surge whenever we're sitting in an Empowering Rift or a Well. I've opted for the 1000 Voices exotic heavy fusion rifle with particle deconstruction. It's my personal preference whenever I'm attacking a more hostile force, as those ignitions will stagger him. We use the ignition fragment of Ashes, Char and Eruption to make those ignitions more potent and repeatable, with our Helion helping us out. I do run Touch of Flame with the Healing Grenade to give us stronger restoration, as we need to rock that Empowering Rift over Healing Rift to make that Sanguine work. Second encounter is again about movement tech, so I got my Mindspun Grapple, Verity's Navigator to make traversing a lot easier with the Slammer in reserves if I got an Evil Knievel sized jump. Even solo, this Cal is easily melted by our Sanguine 1k Well combo. I did run an LFG on this the other day, and I noted that the team didn't use their supers to clear out the Marauders and the Shank at the start. If you don't do this, just pop your super right at the start, nuke them both. It'll make collecting those engrams so much easier and dunking safer, as don't forget we get a super every 10 engrams we collect, so it's guaranteed back to you by the time we get into our damage phase. The first third of the Spire, I'm rocking my green forehead kit with Mindspun Grapple Verities, but I swapped the weapons out with my Slide Shot Appentance Trace Rifle for some quick long range button taps and the Xeno just in case we need to mess up some Hydras. Second encounter, I'm again using the Alchemy Well combo. I pop in an Empowering Rift to make my Solar Acacia's Trace Rifle delete those eyes, and I use it to shoot those nodes leading into the damage phase. Once the eyes are destroyed, Finger Snap, then Well, then Laser. Because this alien turkey is so hostile, I've always preferred to have one Well on hand when doing this encounter. I love the 1k, it's handy to stagger him, but the best thing about the Sanguine chest piece and laser combo is outside of having your melee and your super charged up, there's no prep required and you can chuck out tons of damage. The first encounter in Ghost has a few waves of solar shielded wizards, so one of my favourite weapons for this encounter is Ariana's Vow, where if we break a solar shield with this weapon, it'll trigger an ignition, cooking both the wizard and the acolytes that spawn around him. We then have a wave of acolytes en masse, we chew them out with our LNG, then for killing our yellow bars and clearing out the mid, I'm back on the Prismatic Warlock, running the glaive with our necrotic AoE and Syntheseps with a damage boost. To take on this Hive Sentinel, I like going straight at him, as running explosive weapons against him can often blow up in your face. I'm rocking my Well, Still rocking the Sanguine to give us that solar weapon surge. I've got the solar Ergo Sum with Wolfpack rounds. That'll buff all our legendary swords. Because I had to do the swap already, I've opted for a False Idols Solar Vortex sword from the Cade collection with bait and switch on the right, and in the left I roll it with attrition orbs. I find this quite handy when paired with the weakened dwell, as I'm not using the surge mods on my legs thanks to our chest piece. I can run blessings and recuperations on my kicks to heal myself. Against the boss I'm still rocking the Well and Sanguine, but swapping my exotic for the Sleeper Sim with Particle. I equip the Celestial Fire melee to give us greater melee range. I do always prefer to do the damage phase from the chest cavity of Oryx. The wizard takes great crit damage, so make sure you get on board with your fire team, making sure you're all doing the same type of damage. If the rest of your team is going for more explosive AoE damage, I'll probably swap to the 1k, as it'll be harder to hit her crits consistently, but if you're all on the same page, the 1 phase is most definitely on. I love me some Warlord's Ruin. I'm using the Repentance for the first encounter to laser both the eyes around our little kink cage and our allies. Once we're down, cap the 2 points, give that Scorn the old bean flick, plant down the well, then I'm using my Ergo Sum with Wolfpack rounds and bait and switch False Idols. There's also another great strat here, well really it's the same strat but different class. If you have another Warlock on your team, like my man Poto here, he's on a Void subclass running the Sanguine Empowering Kit, but with the Fallen Guillotine, which no doubt is one of the best legendary swords we got. So between our swords, we're going to cut him down to the knees before that shield goes back up. For our purple pink eye ogre, I like running the 1k as he's quite aggressive. For our purple pink eye ogre, I love the 1k for this, as this ogre's definitely been juicing. This will help stagger him and keep him backed up off here. When we first start the encounter, I like to try and kill those 2 taken swarms on spawn. That way, fingers crossed, if you've got a heavy ammo finder, you can make yourself some ammo on the damage plates. I use my Well on the first and my Empowering Rift on the third, as well I'll swap to my Cartesian there, as nothing fills up the super bar faster than a fusion rifle. This allows me to pop another Well on that final plate, so we can push that damage over the edge for that 3-man 1 phase. Against that taken meat sack, I'm back using the Geomags, Chaos Reach and Limit Break, pumping out big chunks of damage. I've opted for this as we can charge our super faster thanks to those Ionic Traces, which are made incredibly easier thanks to our Ionic Sentry. In that special slot, I've also got an Indebted Kindness with Bolt Shot that also makes tons of traces. This gives me an easy super per floor, and on top of that, all those Arc Traces give me back my Arc Surge for my QB combo. Back on our Prismatic Warlock for our first Vesper encounter. It's not all that dangerous, so I'm just going to clear it out with my Strand Glaive, running both the Necrotic and Syntho, and whenever we spot one of those yellow bar marauders, I'm just going to unload a worm into their face. When attacking the Bipolar Servitors, I'm back on the Well, using the Parasite and Alchemy combo for that sweet tier 4 Solar Surge. Make sure to equip at least 1 reload mod, but if there are any Warlock strats out there that you guys know, I would love to hear about it, because honestly, if I'm not running a Behemoth Titan in this encounter, I kind of feel like I'm whiffing. For this boss, I've switched to a Celestial melee in order to proc us that Radiant, as he is a little bit further away. You can choose between either the Sleeper or the 1k. I've opted for the 1k in this instance, as we put the Well pretty much in the center of the map. We're taking a bit of crossfire from all those surrounding mofos, so the crits can be harder to come by. Downside with the 1k is you'll burn through your entire reserves in that first half of the damage phase, so I've got a Solar Fusion in reserves to help finish him off. First encounter, as we don't have any insta-kill abilities, I've opted for the Parasite for a 1-hit weapon kill. It's easy to fuel, with multiple of those worm-ridden monsters rolling up around you, but they're a simple clear out with my Glaive Syntho Necrotic combo. When dealing with this cross-eyed bolt, I planted a Well on the right hand side of the map, so we're only dealing with half the eyes shooting at us. I have a teammate already using Gjallarhorn. If he wasn't, I probably would be, but because he is, I'm running my Solar Apex Predator with Reconstruction Bipod. Make sure you got a solar loader on it, you'll be able to pump out all your rockets during the damage phase, and I've opted for the Solar Sniper, the Uzume. We've got 4 tons of Charm and Vorpal Weapon on it. As we've got 2 long-range damage weapons, I'm going to want something versatile to clear out all the ads. For me, that's my close to melee glaive. The final boss loves to roam around. I've opted for the 1k, as hitting those consistent crits can be a little challenging when you're on a fire team scattered around the map. Main thing to worry about with this strat is to make sure you've got heavy ammo finders on both your helmet and the one inside the artifact, so we can repeat this consistently. If any of you warlocks out there have a stronger strat again for this encounter, I'd love to hear about them in the comments down below, as I've yet to add that exotic linear to my collection. That also goes for any of the encounters. When it comes to the Warlock, these kits are quite simple, but thanks to the artifact they're putting out a lot more power, and these are easy to prep and easy to keep yourself safe with. I tend to find it's less about your main damage weapon and more about the rest of your arsenal, making sure you pick the right weapons for the right encounter. Holler at me in the comments down below, make sure to thumb it if you dug it, sub if you're new, and as always, tippy time my damies, what a tie.